Open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2, 3.
For decades, Oprah Winfrey has been seen as a symbol of inspiration, power, and success. But what if that image doesn't tell the full story? Behind the applause and influence lies a trail of controversies that many people either missed or chose to ignore. From her highly criticized partnerships with Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, to disturbing allegations connected to the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, questions have followed Oprah for years. Add to that unproven but widely discussed claims linking her to powerful figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Diddy, and a very different picture begins to form. This video isn't about blind hate or praise. It's about looking closely at the facts, the controversies, and the uncomfortable truths that challenge everything we thought we knew about Oprah. As Oprah's influence grew, her show gradually drifted away from grounded conversations and into the pull of sensationalism. One of the most powerful and troubling examples was her deep dive into what became known as the Satanic Panic. At the time, a wave of fear swept across America, convincing many that secret satanic cults were abusing children and secretly operating within schools, churches, and neighborhoods. Oprah appeared to see the moment as an opportunity, repeatedly welcoming guests who claimed to have survived ritualistic devil worship. The stories were horrifying, tales of sacrifices, secret ceremonies, and unimaginable cruelty. There was no solid evidence, yet audiences were transfixed. America's deeply rooted Christian culture helped amplify the hysteria, turning the panic into a modern echo of the Salem witch trials. Even music and entertainment became targets, with heavy metal bands accused of spreading Satanism through lyrics and imagery. In 1989, Oprah brought on Michelle Smith, co-author of Michelle Remembers, alongside Laurel Rose Wilson, whose book Satan's Underground described graphic accounts of occult abuse. Both women were treated as unquestionable victims. But investigators later uncovered a troubling truth. None of their claims could be verified. Police reports, medical records, and timelines simply didn't exist. Some of the alleged perpetrators had alibis. Others had no connection at all. The stories unraveled under basic scrutiny, yet on Oprah's stage, they were presented as undeniable fact, never challenged, never questioned. The show went even further when a young boy, Duffy Strode, was brought on after his family stirred fear in a small North Carolina town.
Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me!
In your own word, tell us, what does that mean?
It means just what it says.
Watching a child defend beliefs he barely understood before a hostile crowd felt deeply unsettling. This was long before social media. Oprah gave these voices a national megaphone. She positioned herself as the calm center, yet allowed chaos to unfold because it made gripping television. Critics spoke out, but it didn't slow her down. Oprah owned the show, and as long as ratings stayed high, no one was stopping her. Oprah often showed warmth to everyday guests, but celebrities played by different rules. In Hollywood, fame came with an unspoken cost: privacy. Anyone who sat on her couch was expected to answer everything. Nothing was truly off-limits. That was clear during her interview with Michael Jackson, his first TV appearance in over 10 years. Oprah carefully revisited the rumors that had followed him for years.
I had pimples so badly, and my father teased me, and I just hated it. I cried every day.
Your father would tease you about your...
From his looks to his personal life. As the questions kept coming, Jackson's discomfort was obvious. He stayed calm and respectful, but the power imbalance was clear. Saying no wasn't really an option. Pushing back could turn millions of viewers against you. Being on Oprah's show was always a gamble. It could boost a career overnight or push someone into revealing things they never planned to share. Nathan Lane nearly had his sexuality exposed on air, saved only when Robin Williams stepped in.
Taking that role and being like typecast and people forever saying, are you not? Is he, honey? I don't know.
Girl, you changed just in the middle of that.
Prince avoided the trap by sharing nothing personal at all. Others weren't so lucky. Toni Braxton was openly questioned about her finances, while teenage Mary-Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen were pressed about their bodies on national TV. Over time, Oprah's empathy began to feel calculated. Her interview with Kelsey Grammer showed this shift clearly. After surviving years of personal tragedy, he appeared raw and vulnerable. Yet Oprah pushed him to relive each painful moment, reopening wounds instead of allowing space to heal. Behind the scenes, Oprah also controlled the final edit. Ludacris later claimed his interview was reshaped before airing.
Known for not being a big fan of rap music because of misogynist lyrics and because of the use of the N-word. You obviously feel differently.
Filtered through her discomfort with hip-hop culture. That was the reality. Oprah offered access to millions, but she decided the story and how it would be seen. With 12 to 13 million viewers watching every day, there was little reason for her to change. Oprah wasn't just powerful. She was untouchable. By the mid-1990s, Oprah Winfrey's influence had reached extraordinary levels. In 1996, she launched Oprah's Book Club, a simple idea with staggering results. A single recommendation could turn an overlooked novel into a national obsession, selling millions of copies almost overnight. The following year, she introduced Oprah's Angel Network, a charitable effort fueled by her audience's loyalty, raising more than $80 million for causes around the world. Her empire kept expanding. She helped co-found Oxygen Media, a women-focused lifestyle network, further cementing her role as a cultural guide for millions. By the late 90s, even satire struggled to exaggerate its reach. A popular parody imagined fans unable to function without her guidance, and it resonated because it felt uncomfortably close to the truth. Oprah had built something resembling a movement, especially among middle-aged women who trusted her voice above all others. At the same time, Oprah faced one of the most serious challenges of her career. After airing a segment questioning beef industry practices, she famously declared she would never eat another hamburger. The reaction was immediate. Beef prices fell sharply, and powerful industry groups accused her of damaging their livelihood. What followed was a highly publicized lawsuit that forced Oprah into unfamiliar territory: the courtroom. To fight back, she turned to Phil McGraw's trial consulting firm. With strategic guidance, Oprah ultimately won the case. But the victory carried a lesson. For years, her show had leaned heavily on emotion and personal testimony, often without rigorous challenge. The lawsuit made one thing clear: giving unchecked opinions a national platform could carry real consequences. And just as that realization settled in, Dr. Phil stepped fully into her world, setting the stage for a transformation that would reshape Oprah's legacy forever. When people think of therapists, they imagine quiet rooms and private healing. But Dr. Phil played a very different role on The Oprah Winfrey Show. He wasn't there to treat trauma. He was coaching people on how to speak, act, and appear convincing under pressure, especially in emotional or legal situations. His ability to read people quickly made him a powerful on-air presence. That skill earned him a regular spot beside Oprah Winfrey, adding authority to her deeply emotional interviews. With Dr. Phil agreeing with her instincts, Oprah didn't just feel right. She seemed right. By 2002, Dr. Phil had his own hit show, and Oprah now controlled two of daytime TV's biggest platforms, becoming a self-made billionaire in the process. But cracks soon appeared. Critics argued Dr. Phil's advice was too simple and not real therapy. He no longer held an active clinical license, yet continued giving public guidance. Around the same time, Oprah's very public struggles with weight introduced another expert, Dr. Oz. With strong medical credentials, he became a trusted voice explaining health in simple terms. By 2009, Oprah helped launch his own show, but his shift toward promoting miracle supplements soon sparked backlash, Senate hearings, and serious credibility issues. Oprah's influence didn't stop there. Her growing interest in alternative healing led her to promote John of God, later exposed as a serial abuser. While Oprah likely didn't know the truth, the pattern was hard to ignore. Immense trust placed in figures who were not fully vetted, then amplified to a global scale. By 2010, Oprah was at the height of her power, topping Forbes lists and earning tens of millions each year. Her generosity became legendary, especially Oprah's favorite things. But even joyful giveaways had consequences, like surprise tax bills for recipients. The gap between intention and impact was growing. And then came something even more controversial than cars or celebrities: the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. That's where the story takes a darker turn. Earlier in her career, Oprah Winfrey sat down with Nelson Mandela to discuss one of South Africa's deepest wounds: poverty. During a visit to his home, she spoke passionately about her belief that education was the great equalizer. She shared a dream of building a school for girls, one that could change lives. 5 years later, that vision became reality with the opening of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. Oprah invested nearly $40 million into a sprawling campus designed to uplift poor and disadvantaged students. At first, the criticism was cosmetic. Observers questioned whether luxury touches, high-quality bedding, a beauty salon, theaters, and wellness spaces were appropriate for a school serving impoverished communities. But between 2007 and 2010, the conversation turned far darker. A dormitory staff member was arrested on multiple charges involving abuse of students. Several girls came forward with devastating accounts, and Oprah was visibly shaken. She flew to South Africa immediately, publicly praising the students' courage and promising decisive action. Counseling was arranged, staff were dismissed, and Oprah vowed to clean out the school. Yet in trying to protect the girls, she may have gone too far. Parents later described an institution that felt closed off and severe. Visits were restricted. Communication was limited. Some families said the school no longer felt nurturing but controlling, more like confinement than care. To them, Oprah's protective instincts translated into isolation for their children. Oprah had long described herself as a mother to the world's children, believing her role was symbolic and spiritual. But symbolism, as many parents felt, could not replace the daily realities of parenting: listening, balance, and trust. Oprah eventually acknowledged that she may have underestimated the emotional impact of such strict oversight, admitting that her desire to shield the girls created the impression of separation from society. Then came another blow. The accused staff member was ultimately acquitted, with the court ruling that the testimony lacked sufficient corroboration. The decision left deep scars. Oprah publicly expressed heartbreak over the verdict, stating she would always stand by the girls who came forward. What remained was not a clean ending, but a painful lesson. What Oprah saw as opportunity and protection, others experienced as loss of agency and connection. It was a reminder that even the grandest intentions can fracture when power, care, and control collide, and that some wounds leave no true resolution, only reflection. Diddy controversy. If you dig into countless online theories surrounding Oprah's South African school, claims of missing children, secret connections, and darker conspiracies. Over the years, some have even tried linking the school directly to Jeffrey Epstein. Yet no verified reports support claims of missing students, and there is no evidence that Oprah ever visited Epstein's island. What is documented, however, is that her former business partner at Oxygen Media appeared on Epstein's private flight records, an uncomfortable detail that continues to fuel speculation. To critics, this fits a familiar pattern. Oprah often seems close to moments of scandal, connected socially or professionally to figures like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, or Sean Diddy Combs, yet never implicated herself. Each time, she emerges untouched, framed as someone who was simply too trusting, too empathetic, or unaware. To her defenders, the explanation is far simpler: proximity to power. When you occupy the highest levels of fame and wealth, your circle naturally fills with other influential people.
I have never been near a puff party. Never been near. And anybody who knows me knows if there is a party, I'm the first one out.
Right.
I'm the first one out.
But people love salacious.
Being photographed with them doesn't necessarily mean sharing their secrets. Oprah herself has drawn clear lines at times, publicly stating she never attended certain celebrity parties and distancing herself from rumors. But her response to Harvey Weinstein proved more complicated. Weinstein, once one of Hollywood's most powerful producers, was later exposed as a serial abuser. Dozens of women accused him of harassment and assault, and in 2020 he was sentenced to decades in prison. When the scandal broke, many expected Oprah, long celebrated for confronting uncomfortable truths, to condemn him directly. Instead, she broadened the conversation, focusing on systemic abuse rather than Weinstein himself. To some, this felt like deflection. Given how closely she had moved within the same elite circles, critics questioned whether ignorance was truly possible. That moment marked a shift in public perception. Oprah, once seen as an outsider who challenged power, increasingly looked like part of the same billionaire class she once questioned. The empathy that built her legacy began to feel conditional, even strategic, cosplaying as empathetic just to get everything she ever wanted, especially when it came to her response to the natural disaster in Maui, Hawaii. To many critics, Oprah's image in Hawaii slowly shifted. What once looked like generosity began to resemble something colder, an ultra-wealthy landowner protecting an empire built far from public view. Her connection to Maui started years earlier, when her longtime trainer, who later became her property manager, encouraged her to explore the island. He had spent years visiting a quiet upcountry region, drawn to its misty hills, open land, and ocean views. When a large property became available, Oprah purchased it, explaining that she wanted to prevent aggressive development from transforming the area. Over time, that single purchase grew into something far larger. Oprah continued acquiring land across Maui until her holdings surpassed 1,000 acres. Supporters praised her for preserving nature and employing local workers. Others saw it differently, arguing that massive private ownership, no matter how well-intentioned, contributed to rising costs that pushed locals further to the margins. Those tensions exploded after tragedy struck. On August 8, 2023, catastrophic wildfires tore through Maui, becoming the deadliest in modern U.S. history. Entire communities were reduced to ash, lives were lost, and thousands were displaced. In response, Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson launched the People's Fund of Maui, each pledging $5 million and asking the public to donate directly to survivors. While many welcomed the aid,
Who have been displaced in Maui, we guarantee.
In this case, the fund that we created with a lot of hard work from a lot of hardworking people who all care about these people of Maui, as Oprah was saying, it is a clean, direct from you directly to their hands, and right away with some real immediacy, because as we're finding, as you guys...
The reaction online was fierce. Critics questioned why two billionaires were asking struggling Americans to contribute when they themselves possessed unimaginable wealth. Johnson publicly acknowledged the backlash and accepted responsibility for how the campaign was received. Oprah, however, remained at the center of public anger, later saying she was shocked by the intensity of the response and deeply hurt by the hostility she faced. As frustration grew, conspiracy theories spread. Claims of secret roads, blocked access, and land grabs. None were supported by evidence, but in moments of grief and distrust, they gained traction. After disasters, a familiar fear often resurfaces. That devastation clears the way for wealthy outsiders to quietly acquire land while locals struggle to rebuild. For many already hurting, recovery can feel less like healing and more like displacement. What fuels suspicion toward Oprah isn't one specific allegation, but a recurring pattern. Across decades, she has stood close to controversy, yet consistently emerged unscathed. Unlike most public figures, Oprah didn't just participate in media, she controlled it. She shaped narratives, framed outcomes, and often addressed criticism before it could harden. Her greatest strength, empathy, also became her shield. Mistakes were reframed as lessons. Criticism softened into growth. There's no denying the good she's done. She taught millions how to talk openly about pain, trauma, and healing. But that same storytelling power helped her retain control, even when others lost trust. Her wealth didn't grow because she avoided missteps. It grew because she never lost command of the story around them. And perhaps that's the quiet discomfort many feel today. At a certain level of power, proof becomes irrelevant. It's not about believing someone is evil. It's about recognizing that when a single person controls the narrative long enough, trust becomes harder to grant, and even harder to take at face value.